ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुवरं श्रीरूपानुगुरुवरं रजरजरसिकं च नारायणं तं प्रपन्नं श्रीगुरुचरणं वन्दे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री सदैव जय रूप सनातन मठ रघुनाथ श्री जीव पार्वती हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम राम। So first of all, I offer my Shashtanga Pranams and the sweet spiritual masters. Jai Shri Bhakti Shri Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shri Gurudev. Jai Shri Bhakti Shri Bham Goswami Maharaj Shri Gurudev. Entire Bharadari Guru Varga, and especially Shri Devananda Pandit, whose almost auspicious Tiruvati we are observing today, and also Omkar Parshad, Jai Srimad Bhakti Prakash, Aranya Goswami Maharaj, whose most auspicious Tiruvati we are also observing today. And the name of today's Ekadashi is Safala Ekadashi. So now in the Brahma Vaivarta Puran, if you read the histories regarding the Ekadashis, when Krishna speaks to Yudhishthir, then he's always glorifying Ekadashi in terms of like materialistic perceptions. Because Krishna anyhow, he wanted people to follow Ekadashi. So he would say, if you follow this Ekadashi, you get this. If you follow that Ekadashi, you get this. You get good children, good wealth, kingdom, health, and all these things. But when he described this particular Ekadashi, Safala Ekadashi, to Yudhishthira Maharaj, then he only spoke of one thing, exclusive devotion to Sri Hari. This is the only fruit that he described. So this Ekadashi has this speciality. So Krishna, he told Yudhishthira Maharaj, he asked Krishna that can you please tell me the speciality of that particular Ekadashi which occurs during the dark fortnight, Krishna Paksha, because Amavasya is coming. And then Krishna, he told Yudhishthira that previously there was one king, Mahishmati, and he had a son, he had like 4 sons, and last was like a lompak, always associating with women, and he would do many bad things. So the king, he had him sent out of the country. So go away from here, I don't want to see you. So he went to the forest then what would he do? During the day, anyhow, he would hunt animals, and the night he would go and steal and plunder from his kingdom. And no one could say anything, because he was the king's son, he was the prince. And so he kept doing this every time. And his father didn't know also. So then once what happened, he would always rest underneath the banyan tree. And then, anyhow, he heard the sadhus coming, going to the forest, but he didn't do anything to the sadhus. So then he heard one of the sadhu said that just as among all the rivers, the Ganga is the greatest. And just as among all the Devatas, Vishnu is the greatest. Just as among all Yagyas, this Ashwamedha Yagya is the greatest. Similarly, among all Tithis, the Ekadashi Tithi is the greatest. He said. So then anyhow he didn't care, he just heard these words. So then, when once he was resting during the night, there's one night before Ekadashi, it was very cold, and he didn't have any proper clothing. So the whole night he was awake. He didn't eat or drink anything. So then the next day also, he didn't have the strength to even hunt animals. So what would he do? Whatever fruits had fallen off the trees, he would collect them one by one, and he would only eat those fruits. And this happened the following night as well. He he was awake the whole time, not drinking anything, nothing, just shivering in cold. And because he followed Ekadashi unknowingly, the next day, Bhagavan himself had sent him on a very beautiful horse. And he sent him back to his kingdom. And the king was very happy that he had changed now. But now, unlike the previous Ekadashis where Krishna would say he achieved this, he achieved that, there Krishna, he told Yudhishthira that he specifically achieved Ekantik Hari Bhakti. In this way. And then he didn't stay for long also in his kingdom. Again he returned to the forest. And he became a pure devotee then. He thought, unknowingly I followed Ekadashi. Knowingly I follow, then what great fruit awaits me. So then he returned back to the forest. So we see that even unknowingly he followed anyhow, not drinking anything, eating anything. Like Gurudev would explain that history from Narsingha Puran, where previously Prahlad Maharaj, he was a Brahmin named Vasu Sharma. He had a wife, he had everyone, but still he became attached to a prostitute. The prostitute used all his money and then left him away. And she realized he didn't have anything more to offer. So then in separation from her, he spent the whole night in the forest, only weeping in one specific temple. And then this lady also, she had also become very attached to him, but she was also weeping the whole time. And they didn't know they were in the same temple. The whole night they were only weeping, not eating, drinking anything. And that night happened to be Narsingha Chaturdashi. And that temple happened to be a Narsingha temple. And because they followed the Tithi the whole night without eating, drinking anything, just weeping, it said he became Prahlad his next life. Like we always hear Prahlad is an eternal associate, but still he had this opportunity. And then that lady became Prahlad's wife. There are so many such glories of following these Tithis even unknowingly. And today especially this Tithi coincides with the disappearance of two great personalities. Sri Devananda Pandit and Sri Bhakti Prakash Aranya Maharaj. Just this morning, he realized it was Aranya Maharaj's disappearance day. Because it's mentioned in the English calendar but not in the Hindi one. So we didn't know that today was Aranya Maharaj's Tiruvati. So then, anyhow, he's a very great associate of Srila Prabhupada. Gurudev himself, he glorified him so much. He'd say whenever Aranya Maharaj would meet Srila Keshava Goswami Maharaj, and Keshava Goswami Maharaj, he would tease Aranya Maharaj. He'd say, what is the use of Aranya Rodam? He'd say, of just calling out in the forest. No use, he'd say, no one is listening to your Rodam. And then Aranya Maharaj, he'd look at Keshava Maharaj and he'd say, Keshav Tuva Jagata Vichitra. He'd say, your creation is very strange indeed, Keshav. He'd say, Keshava Maharaj. So these godbrothers have very intimate dealings. So Aranya Maharaj, previously, his name was Srinath Dasadikari. So his name was Srinath Dasadikari, and it said he was present during Prabhupada's sannyas ceremony. When Prabhupada took sannyas, he was present there, personally witnessed this ceremony. So since then he had this very great impression in his heart that who is this great personality? And soon after he received Diksha from him also. In 1925, he received sannyas from him also. One of his earliest sannyas disciples. And he got this name, Bhakti Prakash Aranya Maharaj. He illuminates this path of Bhakti. And we hear so many names related to Bhakti. Bhakti Sarvasya, Bhakti Rakshak, Bhakti Hridaya, Bhakti Vivek, Bhakti Vichar, Bhakti Sudhir, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Shrirup, in this way. So then, when he received sannyas, then he started preaching everywhere. So he would preach with so much, he would preach so forcefully. Once he was in Calcutta and there he was preaching, and he visited Srila Bhakti Madhav Goswami Maharaj's house. So that time when he visited Madhav Maharaj's house, there he saw that there was a portrait of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So then he asked Madhav Maharaj that, why do you have this portrait here? He said, he's a god, I like to have him here, bless me. And he said, is Mahaprabhu present here for you, or is this house meant for Mahaprabhu's seva? What is it? Which way is it? He chastised Madhav Maharaj. He said, you should not just keep here for your own entertainment, rather you should worship these pictures. Rather, in this way, you must always think that Mahaprabhu is directly present here, ready to accept your services. And then this way, soon after, Madhav Maharaj, he would arrange that every time there would be a procession of the Gaudiya Math in Calcutta, this picture of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be placed on an elephant. And then Aranya Maharaj asked him, who's cooking for you here? So he said, one Brahmin from Odisha, he's cooking for me. And Madhav Maharaj, he told him, since you're initiated now, you should be cooking for your own self. What have happened to your two hands? Has a crocodile eaten your two hands? He said. And Madhav Maharaj, immediately these words struck him to the core. And he said, then he sent the Brahmin away. And then for 2 days he had to wait until new pots came in so that he could cook by his own hands. And he didn't eat anything for 2 days. And this way Madhav Maharaj would recall. He would say, my whole life I never forgot these words that he told me, that he chastised me in this way. I'm so grateful for him in this way. And we see Aranya Maharaj, by worldly estimation, he was not even literate, by worldly estimation. In fact, when you try to have any of these patrikas proofread, he would have others proofread them, rather than he himself doing it. Because he would say, oh, I'm not literate. Like we see Gaur Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, even he was not literate by worldly consideration. But still we see the greatest of scholars became his disciple, Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur. So in this way, he was also not literate by worldly standards. It's said that whenever he would go preaching with his god brothers, then he would just sit and he would chant in front of Prabhupada's picture for 2 hours. And then he'd say that whatever I speak, I only speak by the inspiration of my Guru Maharaj. My Guru Maharaj, he's only told me to do Anukirtan. He told me whatever you heard from me, you only speak that. Don't speak anything else in this way. So whenever he would speak, he would quote all the references from all the different Shastras. He would even quote the English words that Prabhupada would have used. Like we hear, there was this program in a university where all these most intelligent students were sitting. And what did he do? He had some brick spot. And then he covered every brick with one cloth. And then he told the brahmachari, you cover every brick with a cloth and write the particular name of every scripture that I tell you. And then he placed all these bricks behind him. And then he'd say that this reference is from this scripture, this reference is from that scripture. And he'd point to the bricks. And all the students would think they were scriptures. Because he was so learned. This is Srila Aranya Maharaj. Just by pointing to these bricks, he said, these are different books that I carry with me all the time. He said, this is Anukirtan. He said, just speak whatever Prabhupada has said. No need to think that I'm a scholar, this, that, in this way. And even his preaching, when he'd go preaching, he would never do chaplusi. In Hindi, you hear this word chaplusi, flattery. Oh, you're a great man, you're this, you're that. He'd go, he'd speak to most wealthy people, and he'd say, Asur lutya khai, Krishna samsar, he'd say. That this is Krishna samsar, only the demons are eating and stealing everything, he'd say. And all of you are like demons, he'd say. Not using any of your wealth for Krishna's seva. He chastised them so much. So at least when you're not using any of your wealth, when you die, you know who will come? Talai tenai, Yam Mache Piche. Yam Maharaj himself will come. So use your wealth in Krishna's seva. This way anyhow, they give him this pranami for Prabhupada's seva. Very forceful preaching. And then we hear that even when once he was traveling in the bus, the bus conductor asked him for some money. Maharaj, can you please pay for the ticket? Then again he said, Asura lutiya khai, Krishna samsara. He said, you're a demon. You're asking for money. I'm going for Krishna seva. And again you're trying to take money away from me. Chastised him. The bus conductor also ran away from there. This way. But this way he was, every cent, every penny he only used Prabhupada's seva. It said that once he was here in Vrindavan, and when he was here in Vrindavan, then what happened? There was a Mayavadi in the Govindadev temple. And then this Mayavadi looked at Maharaj and he said, oh, you're a sannyasi, I'm also a sannyasi. Om Namo Narayanaya, he said. And Narayana Maharaj, he looked at this Mayavadi and he said, how dare you call yourself Narayan? Don't you know that you are Narayan Das? Tattvamasi means I am his. In fact, Gurudev would say, this is also incomplete. Tattvamasi means I am hers. So Aranya Maharaj, he chastised this Mayavadi so much. This Mayavadi was very humble. And he said, you're staying here in Vrindavan, you don't even know how to practice Krishna Bhakti. And anyhow, he brought him back to the temple and he had him dressed like a Vaishnava. Like we see, Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur also, he showed so much mercy to the Mayavadis. Once in Chaitanya Math, one Mayavadi he came and everyone neglected him, most of them. Saying, oh, why should we speak to a Mayavadi? Even seeing him is very dangerous for our Bhakti. But then he just left. No one was even saying anything. And then Prabhupada himself, when he heard, he came down from his Bhakti Vijay, Bhajan Kuti, and he held his hand and he brought him back and he fed prasad to him by his own hands. Then he said, and then this way even that Mayavadi actually changed. So in this way, all these disciples, they had such power to change even those who were most averse to Krishna's sake. It is said that once he was traveling from Krishnanagar to Mayapur, and by mistake he wore someone else's shoes, some other brahmachari's shoes. And then when he found out, he said, "Alas, what have I done? I have worn some Vaishnava Thakur's shoes." And then immediately he took those shoes and he put it on his head. And then he put those shoes in his bag. And he said, "I have to return back to Krishnanagar because that devotee might be looking for his shoes." So immediately he found that devotee and he gave it back to the devotee. He gave his shoes back, and the devotee, he had also taken Maharaj's shoes by mistake, and he also gave Maharaj's shoes back. And then this way, Maharaj, he personally offered pranams to the devotee. He said, "Please forgive me." And then he left. And that devotee who received Maharaj's shoes, he said, "Oh, look at this old man. He doesn't even know whose shoes he's wearing." And he just left. So then the devotees there, they were so astonished. Just see his humility and just see how he is, how proud he is, despite his old age. It's said that he, along with his godbrothers, every day in the morning, they take all the shoes of the disciples, one after another, and place them in the shoe rack. And nicely wipe them off, wipe the dust off these shoes with their clothes, with their uttariya, and then place them back in the shoe rack. And then the devotees got so scared, the next time they even stopped putting their shoes there. In this way. They were so merciful. He said that just before his, he was supposed to get his eyes operated. And the doctor said, "You have to check his diabetes level before he gets his eyes operated." Then anyhow, there was one lady who was his disciple, and she said, "Oh, Guru Maharaj, please accept this, please accept this." And she fed him all kinds of sweets. And then Maharaj, he ate all kinds of sweets and his diabetes level increased. And the doctor said, "No, we cannot perform the operation. No, we have to wait for the level to come down again." Then some sevaks, they said, "Maharaj, why did you even accept what she had to offer?" And he said, "What can I do? She's offering with so much love. This prakriti, seva prakriti. I can only encourage her, I cannot discourage her." In this way. And also at the same time, we see that if anything was not up to the standard, he'd also chastise. It said that once one pujari on Ekadashi had made different kinds of prasad. But then he looked at Maharaj, and Maharaj said, "I have no teeth. You have made so many different kinds of things, but how can I eat all these things? You must follow this verse of Chakravarti Thakur. Chaturvada Shri Bhagavad Prasad. Sadam Natittam Hari Bhakta Sangam." There should be 4 types of food. That which is chewed, that which is sucked, that which is drunk, and that which is eaten. And there's 4 kinds of food. Where are the 4 kinds of food here? There's only 2 or 3. You should make 4 kinds of food for Bhagwan's pleasure. In this way. This way his whole life he only spent preaching Prabhupada's mission. And during his last days, it said he could not even walk properly. He could not even see properly. But still he keeps speaking hari-katha during his last days. And then it said he was reciting only 2 verses. Stavakatamritam tapta jivanam. And the sarva dharmam pratyagya. And reciting only these 2 verses, explaining them, he left his body. On this day, on the same tithi, Safala Ekadashi. And this is very intimate disciple of Prabhupada. You can imagine how he is, how humble he is. Only he spent his entire life in the service of Srila Prabhupada. And today is also Sri Devananda Pandit's Tirubhav Tithi. So we see Devananda Gaudiya Math is actually named after him, Devananda Pandit. Why? Because this Kulya Gram is Aparat Banjana Pat. Anyone who comes here, all his offences are destroyed. Like we hear, Devananda Pandit, although he had not directly offended Srivas Thakur, still indirectly through his disciples he had offended him. Why? Maunamiti Lakshanam. Means if one is silent, it means he's actually giving his consent. Srivas Thakur, we hear, he heard these explanations. He fell to the ground in a swoon, in an ecstatic trance. Devananda Pandit didn't say anything to his disciples when they threw him out. And then also we hear that actually Srivas Thakur, then Narad Rishi entered inside his body. As Kavi Karnapur Goswami explained. So in this way, he didn't say anything. So then Mahaprabhu was so angry at him, upset at him, and then he chastised him. Saying, when a pure devotee is speaking, still he didn't bother to give any attention. Then we hear that when Vakreshwar Pandit came, then when everyone was crowding around him, then Devananda Pandit, he made sure no one would touch him and disturb his bhav, and he would wipe the dust off his body. Therefore, Mahaprabhu forgave him. He said, Vakreshwar Pandit is my heart. And then even Devananda Pandit, he also asked for forgiveness from Srivas. Not that he just served Vakreshwar Pandit. And then when Mahaprabhu was in Kulya, after taking sannyas, when he returned, there he saw the different kinds of people who had offended Mahaprabhu had all come there. Even Gopal Chakravarti, who doubted the potency of the holy name, whose nose had melted in leprosy, he had also come there. He was also seeking forgiveness. Then we see even all those students who wanted to beat Mahaprabhu, they all also come there. They were also asking for forgiveness. They say Devananda Pandit also came and he sought forgiveness and Mahaprabhu forgave him. He said, yes. Then he said, don't do this ever again. So therefore we see that this very Devananda Gaudiya Math there, Param Gurudev established. And the entrance to this Devananda Gaudiya Math is called Narahari Tolan. Means he said, if you ever want to enter into this Vinod Kunj, this Nayan Mani Kunj, then you should have the mercy of Narahari Seva Vigraha Prabhu, or else you cannot enter. And anyone who comes to this Aparad Bhanjan Sthavi and who sincerely prays to Mahaprabhu and who sincerely remembers how he delivered Devananda Pandit, then he'll have all his offences. He'll be forgiven for all of his offences. And most importantly, this Kuliya, this Aparad Bhanjan Path is now different from Giriraj Govardhan itself. And you get the mercy of Giriraj. The other day we heard Vaman Goswami Maharaj, Prabhupada told him, you learn these two mantras. Nija Nikata Nivasam Dehi Govardhanatam Govardhaname Dishatam Abhishtam. Don't learn anything else if you cannot learn all the others. Just learn these two lines. And they say Vaman Maharaj, when he would offer this pale juice, when he would offer this channa, whatever, he first offered to Giriraj and then give to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada also had him learn these verses from Bhagavatam, Brihad Bhagavatam, with this entire vast Prarthana Dashakam, Govardhanashtakam. And they say Vaman Goswami Maharaj had so much Nishtha in Giriraj, so much so that he would even tell Gurudev about how he served Prabhupada under the guidance of Giriraj. And therefore Gurudev, he would tell his sevaks later, that I myself developed so much Nishtha in Giriraj because of how Vaman Goswami Maharaj served Giriraj. And to this day, this parampara is continuing. How this Nishtha towards Giriraj is prevalent among the Vaishnavas. So that is a very auspicious tithi. Coincides with also the disappearance of these two great associates, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada. And Char Bhagavatul Vishra, Kripasan Dev Shvaitanam Bhavni Vaishnav Vyoma.
ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः पञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासुदेव गौर भक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. First of all, also my sister and Lord Pranam, Thousand Times Lord Sri Shri Paramaradham, Guru Padma, Vishnu Parastotra, Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan, Sai Maharaj, Shri Gurudev. And after my sister and Lord Pranam, Thousand Times Lord Sri Dev, Shri Rupanu Gauri Guru Varga. For my sister and Lord Pranam, to all some more Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Today, by causeless mercy of Shri Guru Padma and the Vaishnavas, we are in this most holy holy place, Shri Vrindavan Dham, and today is the most holy tithi, Shri Ekadashi, Safala Ekadashi. And also, we have the disciplines there of Shri Devananda Pandit and this Bhakti Prakash Aranya Maharaj. Bhakti Prakash Aranya Maharaj, he is also the General Associate of Shri Jagadguru Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has described all the different things that are favorable for our bhakti. And first and foremost, he said what? That Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu, Bhajana Anubhu. He said that the lotus feet of the Shuddha Bhakta, this is the most favorable thing for our devotion. Then he says, Bhakata Seva Paramasiddhi. That once you attain these lotus feet, then what? You do Bhakata Seva. Then following that, right after that, he says what? Madhaviti, Bhakti Janani, Yatan Nepal. Now you have attained the association of Vaishnavas. You are performing service to the lotus feet. But don't think you can neglect Ekadashi. Ekadashi Titi must be observed. Why? Because she is the mother. Mother of Bhakti. Mother means gives birth to the child. So if we want Bhakti to awaken in our heart, then where will it come from? It will come by the observance of Ekadashi. In this Kali Yuga, without following Ekadashi, then there is no place for this Bhakti. It cannot awaken. Therefore Mahaprabhu requested Sachimata, only two things. Chant Harinam and you follow Ekadashi Tithi. You follow this Ekadashi, then very easily devotion will manifest in the heart. And the Vaishnava, they have stressed and they have given so much importance on this Ekadashi. So much so that they have described all the 26 different Ekadashis. And also not only that, but their Swarups. How Ekadashi is Devi. You've heard Vaishnava describe that Krishna has manifested this Ekadashi Devi. They bestow mercy on all the different jivas that were suffering there in the hellish planets. Simply you follow this Ekadashi, observe her Tithi, she is very merciful, then you will get salvation from this. Not only salvation, but you will also get Bhakti. Therefore, Ekadashi Tithi is foremost of all Tithis. We have been hearing that the Tithi is so important. For we observe this Ekadashi Tithi in the association of the Shuddha Bhaktas. And by following this Ekadashi, then, in association with the Bhaktas, then Shuddha Bhakti itself will manifest in the heart. This is the real fruit of following Ekadashi. Pure devotion, not any mixed devotion. That any other kind of fruit will come. There's so many different, by following and observing all these different so-called tithis, different vratas that karmis and jnanis follow, then what do they attain? They attain karma phala, mundane results, jnana phala, they attain mukti, liberation, they attain speculative knowledge. By observing all these different vratas, by doing austerities, what do they get? They are asanidhi navanidhi. Asasiddhi Navanidhi, 8 mystic potencies, 8 primary, 8 secondary. By doing yoga, following all these different auxiliary different paths, then you attain all these different results. Bhukti, Mukti, Artha, Dharma, Kama, Moksha. And for the pure devotee, that Bhukti, Mukti, Spriha, Yava, Kisachit, Hiti, Vartate, Tavat, Bhakti, Sukasyatra, Katam, Udbhada, Yoga. That only they have one desire, that is to attain this pure bhakti. Therefore the Vaishnavas with great faith they observe this Ekadashi Tithi. And Mahaprabhu shown how do we follow and observe this Ekadashi Tithi? She Hari Vasare Hare Kirtana Vidhan Nitya Adam Bila Prabhu Jagatera Pran Vakadera Pran. The Mahaprabhu he showed me his own example. How do we follow Ekadashi? She Hari Vasare Hare Hari Kirtana Vidhan. Kirtana Vidhan, this is, Kirtana is permanent. Kirtana is to be observed on this day of Ekadashi. By performing Kirtana in the association of the devotees, how? Nitya Arambila Prabhu, by dancing, singing. By performing Sankirtan, this complete Kirtan, Samyak Rupana Kirtan, is performed where? In association. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur defined Sankirtan. He said that in the that Sankirtan is performed under the guidance, in the company of the pure devotees, under his guidance, then that is called Sankirtan. Therefore, all these tithis, whether Ekadashi, all the angas of bhakti, they are to be performed in what? Sadhu Sangha, in the association of the Vaishnavas. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur he starts, says that Shuddha Bhakata Charana Reno, Bhajana Anukul. The lotus foot dust of the devotees, the Vaishnavas, this is most favorable to us. Without them, all the other angas of bhakti have no meaning. Can anyone mention one anga of bhakti that is performed outside of Sadhu Sangha? Not even one anga of bhakti can be performed outside of Sadhu Sangha. All of them are performed inside the Sadhu Sangha. Therefore, Ekadashi Tithi is performed in the company of the Vaishnavas. By performing kirtan, by dancing, doing kirtan, everything. Then this safal, then this real fruit is going to come. Otherwise, kufal, this mundane fruit will come. Even so many karmas and jnanis, they may follow Ekadashi. But if they don't perform in the association of pure devotees, then also Ekadashi Deva she may bestow liberation to them. But how will she give bhakti if they are not in the association of devotees? Therefore, Bhakti Devi, she is supremely independent and she is very, very soft. And she will manifest there in the heart of the pure Vaishnava. And the pure Vaishnava, by their desire, then they will manifest, they will give you this pure devotion, this pure bhakti. Therefore, Ekadashi is supremely pure, supremely powerful Anyone who performs any anga of bhakti on this day, then very quickly will get the fruit of that. But easily, one will feel inspiration. By one's Ekadashi Indriya, 11 senses, if one follows this Ekadashi Devi, engages him in Krishna's service, then she'll become so much pleased. And then automatically then, bhakti will manifest in the heart. So this is the pure devotion, is the real fruit of Ekadashi. And pure bhakti is what? Bhaktya sanjayate bhakti. Bhakti is the fruit of doing bhakti. If you perform bhakti really, then what? Bhakti parash anubhave viraktir. Anyata chaisatika ekakalaha. Vajyamanas astadasyus tushti pushtik shudayop anugasam. If you perform bhakti, then what will be the result? Then must bhakti, pure devotion itself must manifest in the heart. If you're really doing devotion, then bhakti will manifest. Then parash anubhava. Also realization of the supreme paratattva, of the supreme absolute truth. And then virakti, detachment will come. Gurudev said, this is the barometer, this is the mapdanda, this is the way we can see whether, put yourself to the test, whether you are doing bhakti or not. These three things are not coming. Realization, devotion is not awakening, and detachment not coming, that means there's some loophole in your bhakti, then you're not performing devotion. Therefore, the root is what? Is this Shuddha Bhakta Charanarenu. Holding on to the Lord's feet, the Shuddha Bhakta, then everything has meaning, everything is fruitful, it is beautiful, rasa will be there, meaning will be there, everything will come. But without the Shuddha Bhakta, without His guidance, without their mercy, then no fruit can come. And therefore, under their guidance, then we observe these titis, we hear the glories. Premananda Pandit, Bhakti, Aranyamaya, all these, we hear under their guidance, we observe these things. Then some wonder will come, some relationship will come. Then the real true fruit of performing all these angas, Shravana Tirtha Visma in their company will come. Vancha Gavadar Vyasta Pasi
Om Gyanti Mirantasya Gyanandana Shlakaya Chakshurandalitam Mena Krishnai Shri Gurave Namaha Panchakalpataro Vishta Kripa Sindhu Deva Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. First of all, from my Sastangnandad pranams unto the lotus feet of our most worshipful Srila Gurudev Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Shishma Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Srila Guru Maharaj, to our Upanuga Guru Varga and all assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So, in this month, this month is called Posh. Posh means nourishment. Also in our Vaishnava calendar, this month name is Narayan. So in this month of Posh or Narayan, we know these are the prominent festivals we've been celebrating. The Vyasa Puja of Srila Bhakti Goswami Maharaj, Srila Gurudev's Tirubhav. And now is Ekadashi called Safala Ekadashi, which is enhanced even by again the Tirubhav Tithi of Sri Devananda Pandit and Sri Bhakti Prakash Aranya Goswami Maharaj. So we've just heard glories of this Tithi. I can just summarize and point out some important teachings. We already know so much. We've heard many glories of Ekadashi Tithi, and also how each Ekadashi, although they're not different, but there are also some difference from each other. And Vaishnavas pointing to us specialities of each Ekadashi. Right now we've heard Maharaj has mentioned this song of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Shuddha Bhakata Charanarenu Bhajananukul. He's pointing out that this foot dust of the Vaishnavas, this is very favorable to bhajan. But this foot dust, you may consider physical foot dust. Sometimes we see devotees, they're wrestling with other Vaishnava trying to get the food dust. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur is showing to us, not necessarily that food dust. You can also get that food dust and get the benefit. But how to get really the food dust of the Vaishnavas, and therefore is singing this song. Serving the Vaishnavas, and also doing all these activities of the Vaishnavas, how they follow Ekadashi, how they're doing Kirtan, transforming everyone's house into like Vaikuntha, going to all the places of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Bhaktas, they're pranay. Bhaktas, they have this love, and therefore going with them, then you also see how they have this relationship with Mahaprabhu and Krishna. And then actually this food dust meaning their moods, their bhavs. Then they also were able to touch that and absorb that. So, just has been mentioned, bhakti only comes from bhakti. So, someone also can follow Ekadashi. And just now we've heard, and this is actually how Krishna glorified Yudhishthira Maharaj. Even not knowingly following Ekadashi. And we hear like, oh, even those people who are sick, they're also fasting. The animals, they're also fasting. On this day could be fasting because they're sick. But are they following Ekadashi? In one way, you may say they're not following Ekadashi according to our standard. And that is what? According to how the Vaishnavas follow Ekadashi. But even just liberally taking what Krishna has said, it's like all those people who have not even no knowledge, but they are somehow on this day, they did some fasting, then some benefit is there. They can even be liberated. Like this example. But then how that happened? Actually, because Ekadashi, this is special, the glory of this day, that even unknowingly done, then it can give so much result. What result? Oh, it can give what this Rajasuya, Yagya, all these big Yagyas that only great kings can do. They can give that amount. What? Oh, they can give you heavenly planets. Even they can give up to the part of liberation, freedom from suffering, like this. But what is the real reward of Ekadashi? That's only when you are actually following with the Vaishnavas. And what is that? Oh, you will get that prem. Ekadashi can give this prem. So, for that example of this particular Ekadashi, someone unknowingly followed that Ekadashi and he went to Vaikuntha. That's only because this Ekadashi made him become purified from all his sins. But then, later on, he gets sadhu sangha. And by association of sadhus, then he developed his relationship with Bhagavan. So, today we are remembering glories of these great devotees like Devananda Pandit. Also, one great associate of Prabhupada is Sannyasi Bhakti Prakash Aranya Maharaj, which has heard their glories. And just pointing out some important lessons, like in the pastime of Sri Devananda Pandit, we know that he is teacher of Bhagavatam. He likes to speak Bhagavatam. But then Mahaprabhu himself is showing that unless you can identify who is the real Bhagavat, because there's two kinds of Bhagavatam. One is there's the book, the Grantha Bhagavat, but then there's the Bhakti Rasapatra, the devotee Bhagavat, the person Bhagavat. You can speak Bhagavatam and repeat shlokas of Bhagavatam, but if you don't know the person Bhagavat, then really, what is your knowledge? So, and what happens, like for example, this Devananda Pandit, at that time he speaks Bhagavatam, but he cannot see who is the real Bhagavat. In front of him, there's the Bhagavat, that's Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur is so great. So, in front of him, he's there, and he's crying even, experiencing remembrance from what is being read. But then what happened? his disciples even considered him a disturbance of the recitation of the Bhagavatam and kicking him out of the assembly. And their guru has not done anything because he has not seen, like, this person is Bhagavad. And therefore, he is part of that offense. So when Mahaprabhu came, then what? Mahaprabhu showed, he's chastising, actually telling, like, look, you cannot teach Bhagavatam. So you don't know Bhagavatam. And like Mahaprabhu, he was actually invited nearby that place. But Mahaprabhu became so displeased, he left that place. And the devotees have to pacify Mahaprabhu. But Mahaprabhu, I cannot stay here. Because some offensive person is here. And so, but at that time, even Mahaprabhu telling, and in a way giving this opportunity for Devananda to change or to realize. But he's not accepting. He's not thinking he's wrong or anything. Nothing changed. And therefore he never got mercy of Mahaprabhu. But he said later on, when one Shuddha Bhakta came, and by service to that, who is that? Bhakreshwar Pandit. Mahaprabhu, after some time, he took sannyas and he went to Jagannath Puri. From that time, Devananda, remembering, this great person, like now he left, his great scholar, but now he went to Puri. He now sannyasi. It's like, I never associated with him, and I never took seriously whatever he said. But how did that mood come? When one time Bhakreshwar Pandit came to Navadvip, because he was sent by Mahaprabhu. We know speciality of Bhakreshwar Pandit. He can become so absorbed in kirtan. And he can even dance up to 72 hours non-stop during kirtan and singing. So he said one time he was absorbed in kirtan and a big crowd gathered around him because he's very attractive and dancing in ecstasy. But then there was Devananda Pandit seeing this devotee and trying to protect him from the crowd. When he finally became unconscious, then immediately he took him on his lap and tried to clean his body and tried to make him recover. When later on he was back in consciousness, then he saw Devananda Pandit, Bhakreshwar Pandit saw Devananda Pandit. From that time, then that was his auspiciousness for Devananda Pandit. We know this is Leela because they're all associates of Mahaprabhu. But here we're showing that just by that little service of Devananda Pandit to Bhakreshwar Pandit, then Mahaprabhu became very pleased with him. That